Welcome to SuperSonic Sand Chapter 8. Sean and I had to take a little bit of a break because life took funny turns. Sean, tell us about your funny turns and then I'll tell you about my funny turns.
Well, yeah, it's we've kind of taken a month out of the project, SuperSonic Sand, the seventh release, the self-titled track SuperSonic Sand itself, featuring in the wonderful Banba, with our own Roddy Clear doing the narration, the voiceover on it. Was released nearly a month ago now. So we hadn't. Our target is 12, and we're kind of close to that in terms of the final 4 or 5. There are kind of just about lined up, bar one. So yeah, so we've taken a month out. I've been busy on the sand with projects around Ireland, and tell us, where have you been, Vi Queen?
Well, while you were busy on the sand, I was busy on the Sonics. So I was doing gigs in Cypress Avenue. I got my band to do a live stream that will be coming out later this month. Then I was also working on 2 music festivals in Waterford. So the first one was on Shaw, where we took over Walton Park in Dungarvan. I believe it's the first time ever a gig was ever in Walton Park. And then we took over the Plaza, and guess what? That was the first time in 8 years that the Plaza was used for music, wow, which I just think is insane. And then the weekend just gone, myself and the Road Gallery put on Word to the Wise. That was the first Word to the Wise, and we had music, yoga, art, and collaborative artwork, and comedians. I actually did a comedy set for the first time in 2 years.
Did you?
I did.
Done.
So,
wow.
Yeah. It was great. It's really, really great to see that live music is on the way back. Obviously, the roadmap finally got released this week. So I believe the 6th of September is the day that the world goes back to somewhat normal. And I'm very looking forward to seeing what that brings me on journey-wise. But we'll just wait and see.
So yeah, so we both had a busy month, I suppose. And we have a big announcement. I suppose, without wanting to tease everybody too long, this is a very, very well recognized household name. In fact, international artist of huge acclaim.
Massive acclaim. I mean, when you think about electronic music, the chances are that you automatically think about him, actually. He would be one of the first names that most people think about, especially in my generation, your generation. I remember the first time I heard one of his tracks. It's actually linked, funnily enough, this is weird. So there is a mobile phone company in Switzerland called Orange, and they used one of his tracks before he blew up, and it was the ad. So he had a sync deal before, like, the whole album blew up. So you were hearing this song in an ad in Switzerland before you knew who the artist was or what was going on. And then the album came out and everyone was like, oh my God, that's from the Orange ad. And then everyone was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. So yeah, I have a good, like, history of remembering who he was and what his music has done. And since then, like, he's just phenomenal. Like, the stuff he comes out. It's really great as well because he's really, really supportive of filmmakers and like animators and designers. He understands that without music those things are impossible, and without those things music is a lot more difficult to get out to a wider audience, which is what this project is all about. And the reason we were able to do this, now we did try and get him, and we have emailed him several times, and obviously we have the rights to the track. We're going to explain how that works in a moment or 2 or 20. But yes, so Sean, who's our next caller? What?
He's not going to be on this interview just yet, but maybe when
he sees what we did,
maybe he will. Maybe he will come back and say he loved the video, he loved the film, loves the project, and maybe he will want to have a chat with us. So you'd never know. Our next artist, collaborator, contributor for the SuperSonic Sand, drum roll please, is none other than Moby.
Moby, our white whale. So we went down to this project. We're like, we really want Moby. We really want Moby. I attempted sending emails, and obviously we have a collaborator who's one step away from him, because recently he released a track with the one and only Mark Lanigan, and one of our collaborators, number 6 in fact, Joe Cardamone, the Dark Light, has actually started working, or is finishing working on an album with Mark Lanigan. So it's funny that these two tie together quite well. So Moby, Mark Lanigan, Joe, Mark Lanigan, us, Moby. you know.
So Moby, if you're watching this, we really hope you like our film production that will be released very soon after this interview. And if so, maybe you'll come on and have a chat with us. But before we explain the process of how we got permission from Moby's distributors and so on, maybe it might be a nice opportunity to give a little bit of a shout out to our 7 previous, before Moby comes and steals the show. So I have my second screen over here, and I have our little blog, which is on the arthand.com website.
So if you go to www.thearthand.com/supersonic sand, it will bring you exactly to our blog. And on our blog, you will have on one side the interview, the collaborative interview that explains our process. And on the other side, you will have the artscape itself, which Sean has done. And it's just, they're brilliant. And there's little word things for people who like to read and don't want to watch the full interview. And then there's things for everybody. It kind of gives all the different realms of what you would need in one place. It's perfect.
And we might drop a link in the blurb below, wherever you're watching this, on YouTube or Facebook, whatever. We'll throw the link down below. So if you do have a spare hour of your life and you'd like to kind of like catch up with where the project is at, you can go right back to the start. When it was back in May, I think it was the 3rd of May, we released the first track, the first interview and track were released back in May with a Norwegian artist with connections in Ireland. Called Nerulis, and Nerulis gave us a beautiful, sweet track called Poisin Island, which was their first release and kind of set us on the road. So then we had second up, we had a very special piece by Irish Serbian artist Wob, who created a specially made track called, which ended up being called, once the collaboration was complete, it was called The Vi Queen's Tree. And it's a kind of a special tribute to herself here, Rebecca, the Vi Queen herself. So that was our second release. And then our third release then, back to Ireland for the third release, Stephen Brennan gave us a beautiful little track called Sunset Shore. And Sunset Shore, again, up to now, all 7 releases have all been, the films have all been created on Kilmurran Cove in Waterford here. But now for number 8, you'll see shortly, we actually go further afield. So that was Sunset Shore. And then who do we have next? We were up to Andy Killian.
So we had Cork-based Andy Killian, who's also in Pretty Happy, Keanu's favourite band. Keanu's my son. And they gave us a track, and we were just delighted that the track came in because it's really, really beautiful. That's the one with fire, which is amazing.
Morpheme's Rabbit. Beautiful track, one of my favourites, I have to say. I mean, they're all different, but, you know, and then the next one then we had was the one with water, we like to call it. Which was with Belfast artist Peter Keogh of the amazing electronic act LAPSE. Yeah. And Peter gave us a track called The Things These Shores Have Seen. So a beautiful kind of melodic kind of carousel revolving kind of nice spacious piece again that we've overlaid water on.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Like, all of them have their own themes, and all of them are produced by you wonderfully, and they all go so well with the soul of the track at hand, and I love that about it. Then the next one was obviously with my childhood hero, Joe Cardamone, my good friend from LA, and that was just mind-blowingly cool, being able to talk about his project with Mark Lanigan, who also ties in with the Moby project, is just wonderful. And then we had...
And then the last release was the title track, SuperSonic Sand itself, which took a lot of work behind the scenes. And it's not just my production, it's your production as well, Vi Queen, because I have the nice part, because all I have to do is, you know, I get fed the track by you, and you've done all the negotiations with the artists and the copyright and the licensing and the making sure they're happy behind the scenes. And I just get to go to the beach with my rake and my stick and sometimes a group, perhaps sometimes as well. So SuperSonic Sand, the title track, then was our last release just about a month ago, which was by Banba. So that, in terms of production, that was actually completely created from scratch, like the script, Roddy Clear's voiceover, Banba made the music, the whole thing came together. So very proud of that in terms of how we all managed to pull together, and it's the ultimate collaboration, I suppose, that last track. So that brings us on to nicely onto our next track. Track 8 from the project is Moby.
Yeah, so this track by Moby is called Strata, and we've decided to keep the artscape the same name because why take away from perfection when Moby's after creating a track that we can now use on our project, which is wonderful. Now, Sean's screen has frozen again, but that's okay because we can still hear him. I'm sure it will unfreeze itself when the time is right.
That'll be fine.
So, Sean, for anyone at home wondering, how does one go about getting a Moby track? I love this story. I think it's brilliant. At the start of the interview, I said I love that he's so supportive of creatives all around. And I think when you get to a certain level in your career, you've got two choices. It's like you can refuse for people to use your music and just keep it for yourself, or you can have like what he's done, which I think is a beautiful gift to the world around. Explain to us how we got a Moby track.
So I suppose like we had reached out, we wanted Moby on the project, like I suppose since in 1999 when his amazing album Play came out, which was actually his 5th album. He'd worked hard up to that point, but finally he had that kind of breakthrough with the album Play, an amazing album. I suppose that was probably the first time I came across his work. I'm a big fan of his work since then, and the kind of work that he does, even just beyond music, in terms of his animal rights activism and so on. So Moby has a website called Moby Gratis. It's Gratis, mobygratis.com. And on that website, he releases for non-commercial filmmakers tracks by him, most of which are unreleased. Some of them have previously been released but don't have videos associated with them. So it's a very generous kind of thing, and I would encourage any filmmakers out there, don't just use your what that app on your phone gives you, this free generic supermarket music that or epic music that we all kind of like consume so easily at the click of a button. Go a little step further. Using a music artist in your area. Musicians and songwriters have always, in my experience, been very willing to collaborate and to share their music. And like of any of the artists that we've asked, we've never once said no. That artist, they might be busy, they might be on a project, might be, we have to come back to them in a few months. But similarly with Moby has it already set up on mobygratis.com. Really, really good platform. I've actually worked on a couple of tracks through Moby Gratis before, one of which was a film about Omi Island in Connemara, and the other one was a track called Wait For Me, an amazing track by Moby, where I filmed a video for in New York. But so back to Moby, I suppose for us, it's great to have Moby on this. I hope that if Moby likes what we've done with his track, that maybe he might delve back into the previous tracks, and it gives everybody kind of a little bit of a leg up, I suppose, on the project. And just also to say that it works vice versa, that it's not just musicians have music that filmmakers can work with. It also works in reverse, that many filmmakers and artists, visual artists and so on, have visuals and have films ready in their archives that could really do with a musician coming on board. So I would just say to both sides, don't be frightened to kind of reach out, send that email or make that call, and more collaboration and better, more productive creative outputs will become of that.
Absolutely. Like I found, like in the process of this, the amount of people who are just willing to work with us. Like I don't want anyone for 1 minute thinking it was easy to get well, the 11 tracks we definitely have. We have one spot we're unsure of right now, but that's because we're waiting on a few different artists to get back to us and we have to make a choice. But the 11 tracks we definitely have in the bag all came pretty easily. Everyone was willing to work with us. Everyone was willing to have a play around and come back with different ideas. And everyone was so grateful of the opportunity because they didn't have the visuals to go along with it. And then we were just so happy because then we could actually help them, because the interviews are usually used, like, this is an unusual one, but usually they're used to help push their platform. So, like, let's say whatever project they're working on, at the same time, we also try and make sure that that project is spoken about highly, so that people at home who might not know them before and are seeing the artscape then have an opportunity to find out more about them. And that's why I started doing Creative Cabin Fever and all the other endeavors, was because we were in a moment in time where music was not allowed to be the way it was. So I found a creative way to give people a platform. Like, basically, as a promoter or whatever I am, we're not sure, but my job is to give people a stage. And when a stage was no longer possible, my job was to make sure that they still could shine. So I did everything in my power in the last 18, 19 months to make sure that artists could still shine.
And I suppose then, like, we've both been busy over the last month, and then I suppose when I came back, then literally after a month on the road, I'm kind of haven't even finished it yet. I'm on a 7-county tour between Cork, Kerry, Waterford, Mayo, Sligo, and Dublin. Maybe I forgot one, but anyway, when I was in Dublin recently, I'm working on a TV show, beautiful two-part series called Voices of Ireland, that will be out on Sky Arts, scheduled for December the 6th. But as part of it, it's about the Irish writers. I won't really reveal too much more. An amazing director, Maggie Brannock from Red Shoe Productions, is pulling up an amazing team, amazing crew. Imelda May is the presenter actually on it. So my part is kind of creating kind of sand art representations in the landscape, portraits, shall we say, without giving too much away, of some amazing Irish writers. So while on that, we normally get the opportunity to do a recce the day before, to pick exactly talk to the film crew and get the right location, so on. So this film for Moby, the Strata film, I was actually in location the day before a piece for the TV show when we found this amazing piece of sand. So it was really, to be honest, a test drawing. Joe had gotten some new string, so we were testing out our new string and our new tent poles. We've got recycled tent poles that have, for the time being, replaced our wild bamboos. So we had our 12 pins in place and tied some string together. So I had no idea that this was going to end up with a Moby track. But when I heard the Moby track, when I picked the, like in most cases, you have all the stuff lined up for me when I come back or whatever. You download them from the WeTransfers and have everything lined up. But in this case, I got to pick the track from Moby. And I took a couple of notes while I was editing it. The track for me is kind of the music itself gave me a kind of a sense of, it's got a kind of a somewhat forlorn kind of feeling to it. It's a kind of a dreamy, you can hear wind in the background on the track. It feels like wind. It's kind of a spacious kind of a track with a kind of a fairground nostalgia, kind of like almost like a carousel, or that kind of forlorn fairground nostalgia kind of thing fits in with it. So, and it's a very gentle track. So some of these tracks up to now, with the electronic music, it's fairly full on and trying to respond to the ups and downs of the track. But this track is very, very soft and gentle. So when I look back through my archive over the last few weeks, I found that this piece that I drew in Sandymount in Dublin, actually, where you see the sea baths in the background, the amazing sea baths, which hopefully one day will be restored on that beautiful Sandymount seafront. There used to be a pier and a beautiful walkway running out to it, absolutely beautiful back in the 1800s. But anyway, the track for me needed something very simple, very ethereal, kind of like, so this dreamlike revolving. So that's what I kind of got from it. And thankfully, the footage that I got on the day, I think matches that. It's just very simple footage of kind of not my normal style. It's a bit more graphic and shard-like as well. And Moby's title track, Strata, for me, I suppose, I was kind of thinking a stratosphere or geology or how things fit together. So for me, that as well kind of fitted with it. So So I hope you all like it.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to get the world premiere like I usually do. I get to see these before everybody else. It's one of the perks that comes along with the hard work that goes along with doing this project. But yeah, it's great. I can feel all those things that you said. It's a very, very balanced track. I can feel like the forlornness, but I can also see hope in it. And there is an element of the playground or the funfair, like you were saying. I agree with all those points. I think it's brilliant that Moby allows there to be a platform like that where you can use his songs. You're right, people should try and use quality music as much as possible, whether it means like mostly what we try to do is use our local lights. Do you know what I mean? Especially for me, it was so important. Like we have a few more in the bag that are going to be very, very local, and it was very important for me to try and use as many Irish artists as possible. Obviously this track, it's kind of like it's one of our heroes. I already had one of my heroes from the same, part of the world, so it's only fair we both get to do that. It's just such a privilege to work on a project like this with you, Sean, and as well, obviously you're good enough for Sky Arts, so you're good enough for the Vi Queen. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it was great to be able to, that's one of the benefits for me. The Sky Arts one, in fairness, it is a very prestigious project, I have to say, but I'm working on lots of kind of commercial projects as well at the moment, which again, the beauty of it for me, to be honest, is we get to be there the day before, which gives me kind of I have to do a recce for the film crews for the location anyway, so it just gives me that opportunity to experiment on different grounds. So thankfully, with now that the events and we're able to bring groups back together again and so on. So some of the work we're doing around the country involves fairly large groups, but it's great just to be able to get that kind of without a brief and just get down there and see what comes of it. So I'm delighted that this fits in with the Moby track.
I'm delighted, and obviously anyone who wasn't aware, Shaw actually used SuperSonic Sand on a giant screen in the background of a music festival. That's right, SuperSonic Sand by Sean Corcoran and Rebecca Cappuccini has been featured at a music festival. How cool is that?
Exactly. And mum's the word, but it's scheduled for further afield in the near future.
Absolutely. So everyone watching, today is Find Out Friday, which means that tomorrow is the day of the Artscape. I'm calling this one the White Whale because Moby, kind of a big fish to pull. Thank you so much, Sean, for everything. Everyone watching, thank you so much for watching and tuning in. And if you enjoy SuperSonic Sand, give us a hand because we'd like everyone to see it, because every single artist we featured is incredibly important, worthy, and the deserve your attention. So we will add the link to our blog in the description, and we'd love for you to just lose yourself for as long as you're able in the beauty of SuperSonic Sand.
Thanks a million, Rebecca. Thanks a million, everybody. Hope you enjoy this track and talk to you soon. Tune in a couple of weeks' time where we have we can't say who's next because that is
definitely local and big though.
Keep it local and big. Keep it local and big. Enjoy.